Is advertising getting fun again? Apparently, innovative, interesting, fun, and vibrant work is making a comeback. That's according to today's guest, Norm Shearer Partner and CCO at Cactus, among many other things. Hello, it's Cody. It's just me again, as almost everyone else is out working on feature films right now. I apologize. I was a little sick during this one, so had myself cut out whenever I could. Look, today's guest won a 7th grade art contest with a drawing of an X-Wing fighter, so you should probably listen up. I grabbed some good stuff from Norm that I think was informative and validating for how that's not just me and my team, but you as well, the collective we can operate. Norm was a great guest and very generous with his experiences. He shared about tips for what directors and production companies can add to their websites and social media to better stand out to agencies. He shared about fine-tuning your goals, how they make plans via brainstorming with mini retreats and fun ways to empower your team, and delivering on challenging work. That's basically delivering good work from not so great briefs. Needless to say, at the end of this discussion, I was a fan. I enjoyed getting to know Norm. He was delightful, and I think you should give him and Cactus a follow on social media and keep up with their work. And check out their website. They have cool case studies that walk you through actual results that their work brought in, among some other pretty entertaining things that Norm and I talk about. So, without further ado, less me, more Norm, Filmmakers and Advertising, episode 27, I think. Commence!
A garden of pure ideology.
Yeah, just your typical Super Bowl car ad.
Or a hilarious beer ad.
Break was over 15 minutes ago, Mitch!
I think you're the best ever.
Look down. Back up. Where are you?
You're in the bush.
Well, how am I supposed to know? I've never been there.
I don't always drink beer, but when I do...
Wanna play Bobby?
I think we're going to be here a while.
Well, Norm, so that people can, so that our listeners can hear you, would you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah. Hello, everybody out there. My name is Norm Shearer, and I guess I'm probably most known as the partner and chief creative officer at Cactus, which is an independent agency based in Denver, Colorado, working for brands all across the world. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was telling you before the podcast, we do this for ourselves. No sponsors, benefactors, or anything. So when we do talk to somebody, it's because we want to. When I saw Cactus and I saw you, I was intrigued by a few things. One of which that you tried, if I understood correctly, you intentionally went back to Denver and decided to stay. Is that correct?
I mean, I think at that time, I grew up in Denver, was born and raised just on the very south edge of the Denver universe. I mean, I literally grew up on the edge of like a housing community, and you would look south and just see like fields. And now you look down there and there's like an IKEA and a business park.
Inspiring.
Any city's probably gone through that in the last 30 years or 35 years or whatever it's been since I was in middle school and high school. So, but yeah, born and raised in Denver, Colorado, super proud of it. And I long story short, I had a kind of a tumultuous way into the advertising world and into realizing that was kind of my passion. I backed into it. Ended up going to CU Boulder for advertising, which had this great school at the time that was just getting started into having an advertising curriculum. That allowed me to get kind of a first kind of starter job. And then I realized I really wanted to increase the level of my portfolio. And so I went to Art Center College of Design in LA. And got married the weekend before we moved to LA.
Oh, wow.
And so when I went there for quote unquote grad school kind of era of our lives, LA was amazing. And it was just, I think going to if listeners are familiar with sort of portfolio school, it's sort of like going to law school for advertising or design or art. And I actually picked Art Center because my interest was to become an art director in advertising. I also loved design. I was kind of one of those weird art directors that also loved doing logos and really geeked out on like package design and typography, which I think made me a stronger art director as well.
At least on the film production side, there is a difference between art director and production designer.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it's the same on the agency side.
Yeah, so I can explain a little bit. So
please do.
On the agency side, art directors are kind of the designers that work with the copywriters. We work in teams. So an art director and a copywriter will be paired up in teams. And I mean, this is the traditional sense, which is still alive and well. There's still a lot of agencies and even in-house agencies at clients and brands and creative boutiques that still operate this way. As we know, the industry has been so fragmented over the last 10 to 15 years that now there's agencies and creative studios and client and brands doing it all which different ways and experimenting.
Mm-hmm.
But the traditional sense, the way I grew up and the kind of the way it's been since the Bill Bernbach actually kind of coined this or created this process back in like the 50s, 60s of pairing the art director with the copywriter to work as a team collaboratively to come up with sort of the campaign idea, come up with the big idea for the ad campaign based off of a brief and the insights and all that stuff. So this team has become kind of this sort of cool icon, I think, of sort of the creative process. And they usually are guided, these teams are guided by creative directors and strategy and account directors.
Mm-hmm.
They work collaboratively with others, but they will work as a team of two to come up with this sort of quote unquote big idea. I would argue most of the advertising we see out there as filmmakers that we get to work on comes through that kind of process. Not all of it, but most of it. And so that's how I was raised, if you will, in the industry and how I was trained. And that's how we run Cactus. We have teams, they're assigned together and they take on different assignments. In the film industry, and this is where you probably know more than I do, Cody, but just from my understanding as a wannabe filmmaker myself, because every time we're on production, I geek out and end up spending more time picking the brain of the producers on the production company side and the director. But the art directors really handle the set design and thinking through the visuals of what's going to go on a film. So they play that critical role in all the design details of the visuals that show up in the production. So yeah, is that fair?
Absolutely fair. So you said yourself, every company operates differently, and I'm especially seeing that more and more these days. I know that a handful of filmmaker types or production company types are spooked, but this actually goes both ways. Cactus is more of an agency, correct? Oh, yeah. It's not a production company, it's an agency. Yeah. I just wanted to be sure. Awesome.
We are what you would expect of. So sorry, okay, here we go with my tangents again. There was this trend where calling yourself a full service ad agency was this bad trend. And it was like, oh, that doesn't differentiate you. And people were and still are looking to differentiate themselves and have like a shtick and sort of feel modern and different and contemporary. But fuck, man, is it okay if I cuss?
Let me think about it. Yeah, it's
sorry. I should have asked.
Of course, I just wanted to enjoy watching you process it for a second. No, yeah, please continue. Totally fine.
Sorry, I have a little bit of a potty mouth.
You have to be authentically you, or this is all blown.
I had this great creative director, actually teacher and then creative director. I worked with him for a little bit. He said, if you're passionate about anything, use the F word to describe it.
Absolutely. That's a good teacher.
And I get passionate about a lot of things. So you could probably anthropologically go back and dissect. But I think digital and modernization of sort of business models and advertising agencies and marketing and creativity and production, all those things going back to the 2000s, that sort of digital creative era, smartphones, all that created this pressure for and ability, I think in a cool way, for the industry and sort of the processes to sort of be disrupted and sort of be challenged. And new agencies, little small boutique agencies, and you guys have probably seen this on your side, right? Like production companies and filmmakers have created new models that kind of go against the norm and go against the conventions of the typical process that people were using for 20 years, 30 years, whatever. We've seen this on the media side, right? So it's like all of the different sort of processes that have been used and kind of modalities that have been used to create great work sort of got disrupted in the 2000s and challenged. I don't know if that was, again, I don't know if you could you attribute that to like digital being kind of disruptive, internet being disruptive in that era when kind of internet and digital or smartphones or all of the above. But there became this sort of like norm of it wasn't cool to be like a dinosaur, quote unquote dinosaur agency. Like newspapers were going away, right? Like the way content gets delivered, the way news gets delivered was starting to change, right? So there was all this like change and disruption, entertainment, like platform-based entertainment versus network, the traditional movie distribution, music, right? Like Napster, remember Napster? I probably illegally, I probably should spend 2 years in jail because I probably had the whole whatever YouTube archive.
You can't arrest the whole village.
all of the sort of entertainment, music, art, culture, like advertising, business model, other businesses, all this was being so challenged back in the 2000s. And I don't know, for better or for worse, we'll still wait to see. Maybe 20 years, you could interview me again. We'll see if Cactus is still around 20 years from now.
We'll hold you to that. I'm going to set a calendar event right now.
Yeah, make a note in your Google Calendar. We just stuck to what worked for us, and we stayed true. I think, not that we were resistant to trying some new things and ebbing and flowing a little bit with trends, but we didn't really overreact too much. It didn't feel like the sky was falling.
Yeah.
I think we've updated many, many things and have approached many things in new, modern, contemporary ways.
Yeah.
But some things we've held on to, and it's worked for us. Like, nothing against other agencies that have transformed or startups that have created whole new ways of doing things. I think that's fucking awesome. Like, I actually am cheering everybody on. You now have this cool, diverse world of like clients, creatives to figure out who they want to work with, the artist partners they want to work with. It's such a diverse array now of ways to go about to make things, to come up with things. Mm-hmm. I think that's cool. It's a little bit of chaos because it's nothing systemized, it's like there's less systemization. And so there's kind of, wait, what do you do again? So your question to me is fair of like, wait, are you an ad agency? Yes, we are. So yeah, we are unapologetically a full service ad agency. We have media in-house, so media planning and buying. We do creative. We have agency producers, right? So we work with artist partners, but our agency producers almost kind of play like a talent artist buying kind of artist representation lead in for our creatives. We have obviously production, digital, an account, and strategy, right? So we have all these sort of classical departments, and then they kind of come together more or less to make the work that we do.
Yeah.
And most of our clients, not all, we serve some clients with maybe just a few of those capabilities. Most, 90% of our clients come to us for everything under the roof. And that's the disruption that happens. Some clients now use like 6 different quote unquote agencies or kind of studios to make their work. And we tend to work best with clients that want all of that knowledge and that firepower kind of under one roof. Yeah.
You guys have a very nice office, by the way. So sorry, this will be in no clever order whatsoever.
No, man, this is my style. Yeah, let's jump around. Let's do it.
Does your office have a waterfall wall in it?
Yes, it does.
Nice. I saw that on Instagram and I thought that's why they stayed. That's real nice. I'd like to quote who I believe was you from something that I saw.
Oh, uh-oh.
And I quote, "Did you call it Cactus because you're a prick?" Can you elaborate on that phrase, since we're talking about the origins of Cactus? We'll come back to how production companies work.
Yeah. So we did a parody of Between Two Ferns. Like, who didn't love that when that came out?
That was a good time.
And of course, we wanted to make a little parody of that. I think it had been out for a couple of years. So I think might have been during COVID or right before 2019, 2020. Joe, my business partner, Joe, and I, we're a small indie agency, right? Like 75 people. We feel like we can kind of get away with kind of poking a little bit of fun, either at pop culture or the entertainment world or our own industry or even ourselves. We love to be pretty self-deprecating.
It's my love language.
We kind of have one of our slogans is take the work seriously, but not each other.
Yeah.
We tend to kind of attract a bunch of misfits and people that enjoy sarcasm and self-deprecation and not kind of taking ourselves too serious. It just seems to like we have a little more fun that way. We don't have any like heavy egos, like makes it more fun. So anyway, Joe and I had this idea or notion, or maybe one of the team members had this idea of like, we should do a fun parody of Between Two Ferns and call it Between Two Cactus. And which is like, we call our employees, our staff cacti. So Between Two Cactus is cacti, cactus. Yeah. So if you Google that, you can see that video series. It's pretty fun. Thanks you went into the Wayback Machine for that one. And so I asked Joe and I were basically just asking each other very dry, like intentionally trying to be dry. And I asked Joe, did you call it Cactus because you're a prick? So that's a class. Yeah.
You guys run your social media the way that, I don't know about other production companies, but that I wish we were running our own.
Oh,
yeah. It's very nice. I feel there's so many days where I feel like, man, I wish we could just take the time to put ourselves out there like that so that people could see us, because it would say, and from what I can tell, and again, to be clear, I don't want to date anybody, but I mean, I have maybe 1/8 of the experience that you have. So I don't want to pretend I'm on par with the things that you know.
Well, you're just saying that because you're talking to this gray old frizzly guy.
Yeah, I'm saying that because I'm trying to sponge up some knowledge.
I mean, I think I kind of had this observation when we had this client. I mean, this was probably like 8 years ago, that wanted us to help them step up their social. And we did, and we worked on that. And it just fucking hit me one night like a ton of bricks. And we were doing okay, I think, with our social. Mm-hmm. When I even say social, I even think it was just sort of like our own brand voice, looking at ourselves as our own brand. And so it just hit me like a ton of bricks after going through this project. We should treat ourselves exactly like how I'd want to treat like our favorite client. I want to be our own favorite client. If we could execute on that just philosophy and put some people to help kind of execute on that and bring their own vision to that. Mm-hmm. And so everything from our website, I mean, I think we're on like our third version of the site that we've had since then. And we're actually just getting ready to redo it. Hopefully, fingers crossed, January 2025 will give birth to Cactus 4.0 website.
Write that down.
Yeah. But I mean, everything from like, we started making cool t-shirts and hats.
How did that work out? Did anybody buy that? Was it free or was it like purchasable merch on your website?
Oh, no. It was all just merch for ourselves and for clients and for our artist partners.
I love that you're saying this stuff. If any of it seems random, we just did a commercial production this weekend in Raleigh/Durham, North Carolina. And I have a box of Cry t-shirts out there because my company said, can you just keep them here? This is too heavy to ship.
Yeah. Production companies always have really great swag. We went through a brand sort of strategy. We kind of pulled a group together, kind of a committee, if you will. I mean, we had a sense of this stuff before and we had it written down, but we thought like, let's really go through it again and cross the T's, dot the I's, make sure our vision and our mission is what we want. And then how do we execute on that instead of just sort of like accidentally falling into it or expecting that just because we have that stuff like written down. And how do we execute on that internally, externally, with clients, with prospects, with just sort of the world, right? And so thank you for saying that and for noticing that, because I think what you're seeing is sort of the byproduct of years of lots of thinking and thoughtfulness. It probably comes off kind of casual and cheeky and fun, but it really is based off of like our strategy and our vision and our mission to make the world a better place using creativity.
The talented people usually make it look easy.
Yeah.
As another, I guess, common validating point, I looked at it and I kind of snapped. I was like, that's it. That's what I thought would be a good idea, because I've ended up in so many meetings where I'm having to, I don't necessarily want to say pitch, because I don't even like pitching because it almost feels disingenuous, where I just think I have to share who we are and how we're going to take care of people and what our priorities are for them over and over and over again. Wouldn't it be nice to just let them know who we are and just to have it sitting there? And with what you guys have done with your website and Instagram, it's quite nice.
Thank you. Thank you so much, man. And I think, and again, huge credit to many other people than myself. Katie Wilson is just like, she's our marketing manager. So I think one thing too that we realized is we had to invest in people and talent to go pull this stuff off. It couldn't just be sort of like, oh, Norm had this idea and let's ask an art director and a copywriter to kind of come up with some stuff. Mm-hmm. Oh, cool. Okay, we're done. Just like our clients, we've got to treat our own brand like an ongoing, living, breathing organism that requires constant care, nurturing, maintenance, reflection, looking like what works, what doesn't work. It's a constant thing, it's a constant thing that you're working on. Mm-hmm. So we invested in people, time, processes to make sure we were taking care of our own brand, which again, not everyone can totally afford to do it, maybe at the level we are doing it. But I do think whether you're a one-person shop or a filmmaker or creator to a 1,000-person kind of human-powered organization, you have to invest whether that's the time of week or, you have to make a plan to invest in your own brand. Because I think at the end of the day, even within our B2B side, right, the business to business side of our own industry, right, as filmmakers, production companies that are looking to get hired by clients, entertainment companies, agencies, when you put yourself out there to kind of sell yourself, like you were saying, like pitch yourself, what do you stand for? What is it besides just the work? Like our industry, I think, suffers a little bit because it's so focused on the end product, which is great, but that is not your brand. Like the end product is not your brand. Yeah. We were actually just talking about this the other day. I went to the Ad Age Small Agency Awards in Boston, which is always so exhilarating and so fun to go to that. And thank God, post-COVID, all this stuff has come back.
How big is that event? How many companies do you think are there?
They said it was one of the most attended. I think there was something like 300 to 400 people attended, and it was something like over 200 agencies were kind of represented.
Yeah,
more or less. I mean, it was just incredible.
Sounds like a great room to be in.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really. I mean, it's a lot of independent. It's small agency awards, so it's going to be a lot of independents. A lot of those kind of like maybe 10 to 50 person size agencies that are doing some of the most. I'm biased, but I really do think the small indie agencies are doing the best.
I would agree with you.
The majority of the best work out there, compared to the big.
Yeah. From a film production company perspective, I would agree with you. I don't know if you know them. I know there's a lot of agencies, but in theory, they would have been there because they won a small agency award this year and the last 3 years. But it's a company based out of Chicago, but they have reach all over the Midwest called Quality Meats.
Oh, quality. Yeah, no, they spoke.
You know them?
Yeah.
Did they speak?
Yeah, they spoke, and I think picked up an award. So those guys are kicking ass.
They really are. I had a nice discussion with them that will be coming out soon, and I loved some of the stuff that they said. And they pride themselves in some of the same aspects that I believe you were getting at, that being lean, they just remove so much corporate red tape. They're able to do things with the work that makes it fun to watch.
Absolutely. And I think you end up getting hired for the right, you get hired for the right reasons, from the get-go.
Absolutely.
You're not trying to like shift someone's perspective or opinion halfway through, a year's worth of work, so you're already off to like the right steps for the right reasons of the type of work you want to do.
Yeah.
I heard he moved to Denver.
Gordy? Yep. I think he did. And I'd be happy to connect you guys if you want.
No, I'd love that. I'd love to go grab a beer or maybe some quality meats with him. Maybe we could go get like
No, I would advocate for it. I love the discussion that I had with them. It was I think you would too.
Yeah, down to earth.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I did want to give kudos and shout out to the many, many team members and Katie that kind of run our brand today. And really look after it.
Yeah.
Make it their baby to do like quality work through our own brand. I do think that that's really important for whether you're a single person just starting out, solopreneur just starting out in filmmaking or animation or whatever it is, to you have a studio with 100 staff. I think looking after your brand, you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say, one of the things I learned from that ad age small agency that our executive creative director and I attended, Brian Watson, and what we got so fired up about is we realized you don't have to be so differentiated that you feel like you're the only. I mean, kudos if you can, but like you're kind of fooling yourself if you have a sort of a brand positioning that feels like it's unique, that no one else in the world could own that. It's not really about that. Like at Cactus, creativity that can make the world a better place. There's dozens of other agencies that are doing that too.
Yeah.
But we stick a flag in it, the way we kind of word that, the way we chase that, the way we kind of believe that and like sort of wear that on our shirt sleeves and sort of act and the decisions we make. That's what's important.
Yeah.
Having a statement that feels like no one else can like claim this. I just don't know if that's not the purpose. The purpose is to have is to be differentiated enough that you stand out and that you have something that you believe in and that you act on. It's not a sales gimmick to just sort of be different than others. It's a belief system.
Yeah.
And when you have a belief system, other people, the other cacti get excited about it. Like people get attracted to us for the right reasons, whether that's talent or clients or artist partners. Right. And so it starts to create this sort of flywheel. That's what's important about a positioning. And you know what? Like if you have some technology or proprietary thing that does help you do that, amen. Like good for you. Bonus points.
Yeah.
But that's not the end all be all of a position.
I appreciate you diving into that. And I'd like to kind of keep saying thank you and encouraging it, because what I've noticed anecdotally is the filmmaking friends and production company friends that I have, as much as they could give you a 12-hour lecture on how to make your spots great, your shots great, and all this stuff, they're not stellar. And I think maybe we become quite introverted over time. That's why the filmmakers who get behind the camera get behind it versus the ones, the people who love movies who get in front of it. And we actually don't get as great at that self-promotion that you're kind of in this perfect position of the triangle between helping clients and also collaborating with production companies to advise on that. So I appreciate you leaning into it. As I was saying about us, there's many days where I kind of just roll my eyes back. So I'm like, oh man, I wish we were investing more in ourselves. To go back to that meetings thing, I wish people could just come to us and see who we are very quickly. I think you said maybe one day a week, or carving out time, or hiring the help.
Yeah, it's like for whatever type of organization you're in, if you make it a goal, we always do our annual planning. We do this. I mean, we meet quite often as like a leadership and management group team at Cactus, but like we do like a whole day that we kind of get away in December, kind of getting ready for the next year, right? And having kind of like, what do we want to fine tune about our goals and our plans?
It's like a retreat style getaway, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's not like we go to Aspen and but it's like,
if you said it works, I would just kind of bob my head and go, oh, okay. Yeah.
Maybe we should. No, it's just more like we close the laptops, cancel meetings, like make a day that's kind of sacred. And then we get away where we can just kind of literally brainstorm about our business and spend time on our business and thinking about it. It's so cool. It's become this kind of very sacred tradition that we really enjoy.
Yeah.
You can have a really like these awesome kind of healthy debates too, right? That you like, man, there's some challenges that we're facing that we really need to think through. And there might be different opinions on leadership or management team, but you want to like make a safe space to kind of brainstorm through that, work through that. And sometimes you don't solve it all. Sometimes it's like you have stuff that you work on throughout the year to try to figure out.
Yeah.
Whatever works for your organization, for your culture, your style, I think just having it as a goal or a priority, and then figuring out, well, how do we then attack that goal? First have the goal, of like, hey, how do we get better at our own positioning, our own kind of brand? That's the desire, the goal. And then involve your team, empower the team to kind of come together to kind of figure that out and make it, make it fun.
Oh yeah. I would say between two Fern style interviews seem like a pretty good excuse to not do client work for a few days. That seems pretty fun.
Exactly.
Yeah. That seems like the type of work that people be like, you know what? That seems fun. I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to batch a bunch of type of questions into one, but let's say you're very challenged and you have an uninspired brief. I'm curious to know something about your process and how you guys would approach something. I guess I didn't have to bring up any clients at all specifically, but about your process. Yeah. But I was just curious to know let's say it's one of your larger clients and you have an uninspiring challenge in front of you, but you have to deliver. Where do you start?
We talk about this a lot actually at Cactus, and with the cacti, we actually discuss this quite a bit.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's just necessarily that it's like an uninspiring brief, but I just think there's challenging work. To simplify it, yeah, you could say a challenging brief, but it's just a challenging situation.
I'm going to adopt that phrase. I see you turned that into challenging brief rather than uninspiring. That seems like a much more responsible way to say that.
Look at me already being an
Thank you.
ad guy.
Thank you, Sensei.
Being an ad guy and spinning things.
No, I appreciate it.
You mean shitty brief.
That's what I was getting at. I was trying to do my own thing. But yeah, you leave that meeting and it's, wow, this sucks, but we have to deliver.
Well, I mean, okay, so there's so many, it's kind of, in some ways, it's a like, where do I start? And I would say like, it's going to happen on different levels. And it's just part of the business and part of learning and building up muscles and having kind of teams, that sort of have that support to kind of go through that. Gosh, Cody, there's so many levels of this that you could.
I know, very broad. That's why I wanted to make it kind of broad to hand over to you to adopt it. But I mean, yeah, you could literally say you hear the brief and you come back to the office. And then what happens once you step back in the door?
In no particular order, I think the things that help turn challenging things into opportunities, for one, is just mindset. And that could be across a couple team members, one team member that champions the right mindset and helps kind of get everybody to kind of see a positivity in something that's challenged. As a problem solver, as a creative, not just creative in terms of art director, copywriter, but the entire team being a creative, the account person, the producer, the strategist. We're all creative trying to solve problems, right? And so sometimes if a client gives you certain parameters or a certain business challenge that you're like, ooh, how are we going to come up with something good for this? Like a campaign for hearing aids. Like, whoa, how do you make a medical device interesting, right? So it's like there's going to be challenging, kind of seemingly non-sexy sort of assignments that you might get, that the team might get. So I think for one is just like, is the culture, is, the agency, I guess, if you will, or your team or yourself, do you have that mindset to kind of take it on? What I mentioned before, Brian Watson, the executive creative director that I work with, he's got this really cool saying. In fact, I just was texting with him about it yesterday. I love this saying. He says, make it your Nike.
Oh, yeah. What does that mean?
It's a way to kind of rephrase your mindset or reframe your mindset, because I really do believe that it's just sort of like you are your own barrier to a challenging brief, challenging client, challenging situation. You're probably barrier number one that needs to be overcome. And so if you get this tough brief, for your example, if you get a tough brief, of course, go through the sort of like stages you need to go through as a human to kind of like vent and wrap your head around it. And maybe it takes you a day to kind of like go, and you need to kind of go drink an extra shot of coffee or something or tequila or whatever it is. But then come back to it and say, how do we solve this?
Yeah.
Okay, client wants to do a testimonial. Fuck, testimonials suck. Like, I don't want to do testimonial. Like, everyone's done a testimonial. You want some customer just talking straight to camera? That's not creative. Well, maybe change your mindset. There are so many testimonials that have been done with a creative angle or a creative solution that have like won numerous awards.
I like that. It's a good challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I would say too, there's times that like you can swing for the fences. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Like, don't beat yourself up on that, right? Like, go to it with like sort of a team approach. If everybody's open and transparent and trying to push the ball the same direction to make great work and it doesn't work out, don't beat yourself up. It's like, at least you tried. You tried to make it great. Not everything you're going to work. I mean, it's kind of more like the baseball analogy of batting 300, batting 350 is pretty damn good. And not every single project you work on is going to be, a can gold mine, right? Like, it's just not going to be. You can swing for those fences and you can go for it, but like, don't beat yourself up when it doesn't happen. So you have to have this sort of marathon approach to the work. And I think that develops over time, over years. Like, I've been fortunate to kind of work in the business for years and years and years. You develop a healthy balance mindset of like knowing when to dial up or down that sort of like drive, that internal drive to take a challenge and kind of make it great versus like, what's the way to get this across the finish line and not kill everybody? I also think too, at the end of the day, like, clients and sort of the market and the environment give us situations sometimes that are like amazing opportunities to take these challenges and turn them into opportunities. And that is the fame making stuff that everyone like sees and like, probably talks about on podcasts and in online news articles. And it's sort of the Hollywood side of everything we see. And we certainly have those testaments and kind of hallmarks and award-winning things at Cactus. I'd say our Man Therapy campaign is an example of like, how do you take a suicide prevention? Like, are you kidding me? A suicide prevention brief? That probably did not seem exciting to the creative team when we got that one, right? Like,
I wanted to also comment that I appreciate how much care you guys seem to have given to that.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
That's one of your longest running projects, right?
That and Colorado Lottery is up there. We have a handful. I mean, say like half of our clients have been with us kind of 8+ years.
Wow. That's great. It's a great testament.
North Carolina's going on 5 years. We're, knock on wood. It just seems like we've been really fortunate to have a lot of clients and we do get like project clients that come in and come out. They just want a project. We get that stuff too.
I would assume to maintain a relationship for a long time, not every brief has been sexy, fun, hilarious, or whatever. You've had to bring stuff to the table to succeed.
Yeah. And that's where I was going. Sometimes earlier on in my career, it was harder for me to see this. And I think something we talk about at Cactus a lot is helping everybody because people can get really zealous, which is good. And you want about solving every problem to be sort of this award-winning solution, kind of innovative and fresh and unexpected. And we have these filters for our creative that we demand of every project, no matter how small or hard. You got a banner ad campaign you're making. We have an expectation and a filter that's going to be great work. However, there are times that, there are forces and things and situations that sometimes prevent that from being sort of award-winning level, if you will, by what we all, I think, all mean as creatives and content makers.
Yeah.
When you face those situations, sometimes you have to realize clients and sort of the businesses we work for, they have more challenges than just this sort of campaign they're trying to get out the door, and they definitely, that's a reason they hire us, is to bring innovative ideas to those things. But when you get on a constant evolving, especially with bigger clients that have dozens and dozens of projects, big, medium, and small, a month, I mean, you're producing literally hundreds of things a year for these clients at complex different levels of their business. You realize sometimes that like a really great solution that helps them out and helps them in their job, in their day, makes their business better, may not be sort of this like, oh, like fit the box or the sort of definition of this sort of like award-winning creative thing. It might just be paying attention to details. It might be that no one, the previous agency or the previous group didn't think of it in terms of the sort of like the way the audience would perceive it or the way the media was being played. Yeah. Sometimes it's not this sort of winning awards thing that makes you invaluable and truly like the true like creative with the big cap, like in all caps creative partner to your clients, right? Sometimes you're helping them put a PowerPoint deck together. Like I do love winning awards and I love the agency and the teams getting accolades. I love it when our teams win awards. But I also love it when a client sends you that email at 10 o'clock at night on a Tuesday and says, you guys fucking helped me out in a hard pinch and you crushed it.
That's really good.
Those things got to go hand in hand. We want to be a true partner with our clients. And there's times that we're going to challenge them and have like a healthy tension and kind of relationship with our clients and the companies we work on behalf of and the human beings that we're trying to help. You also have to realize like they have a life and they have politics they deal with on their side and they have a career aspiration. And you have to like be ingrained on the human level, not just sort of the selfish desire that you're going to like turn this into a portfolio piece, which again, having some of that is a good balance. You want to have some of that, but you have to have it in the context of the overall long-term relationship that you're seeing. Yeah. Some agencies out there just want to kill it on a project and then move on to the next one. And that's great. Like no judgment. That is fucking awesome. I think Cactus, what's worked for us is seeking long-term relationships where we can really make an impact over 5-10 years, help a client go from A to B to C, right? Like help them transform and progress through, creativity and brand transformation. So
how do you communicate that to them? That sounds like the thing that we would want them to know, that they would want to hear.
We've always kind of done this intuitively, but we never really knew how to package it. And in fact, part of that brand exploration we did years and years ago was, holy shit, we have this way of thinking that for some reason, I don't know why, we were sort of a little bit like afraid to wear that on our shirt sleeves because I think we thought it might feel limiting or something like that. So and we call it belief and behavior design. And so if you go to our site, you'll see kind of our spiel on that. But we basically use from a kind of a strategic and philosophical approach. And then we have, it's not on the website, obviously, but like sort of our strategic and creative approach to the work is through affecting belief and behaviors, both with consumer audiences that we're talking to, but then also on the brand side, right? So brands have beliefs and behaviors, and the people who work for those brands and have set that brand in motion, whether that's a startup or to a brand that's been around for 100 years, it's going to have beliefs and values and behaviors that come out of those beliefs and those values. And so we mapped that out. We use kind of basically behavior economics. It's almost like psychological approach. When Joe started Cactus in 1990, he had this mission of like making the world a better place and working with clients who seemingly or maybe unseemingly are doing something to kind of make the world a better place to live, work, or play.
I can see that.
Sometimes clients have that on the surface and sometimes they're doing things behind the scenes that are contributing to that, right? So it's like, it's a spectrum. It's not a black and white equation for us. We call them thrive brands that are thrive brands. And so I think very intuitively we were starting to work, and just like Cactus became known as in kind of the Rocky Mountain region as this sort of like social cause. We would take on a lot of social causes, nonprofits. And Joe started working with a lot of like consumer companies as well. But we always intuitively used this sort of behavior change approach.
Yeah.
We make sure that that's like sort of our positioning. That's all part of our positioning. It's part of our, like when we go into a pitch, that's going to be kind of like our thing. There's always sort of like inhibiting beliefs, right? So it's like, man, as a guy, do I need therapy? Like, like us guys, we always have, like, it's like we have this stigma.
I don't need therapy.
Yeah. I don't need to fix myself. Like, I'm good.
Just hold it in, have a heart attack at 45 and die. Be a man.
Exactly. Like, right. Like therapy is for wimps, right? Like you're kind of a sissy if you need help. Sadly, still today, men are kind of grow up in this environment where it's like asking for help is a sign of weakness. And so that behavior, right? If you look at using our behavior economics, you know, we saw that that is the most inhibiting belief we need to overcome. It led us to a counterintuitive, which I don't think we would have gotten to had we not used that approach, of like, what if we used humor? Like, yeah, we're talking about serious stuff. We're talking about suicide, which is very serious and gets very dark. But let's use humor and go upstream and talk to men about things that lead to suicide, like substance abuse and anger and your pain in the ass teenager. And, you know, like all these things that lead that, like, suicide doesn't just happen just because. There's always like contributing factors that are probably broiling for years and years and years, right? So we realized that humor could be a really cool approach to overcoming that inhibiting belief that, you know what, therapy isn't for wimps, that working on yourself is actually manly. Like, again, just like any brand, it takes years and years and tons of execution. And so thankfully, you know, Man Therapy, that we're enjoying our 12th year, which is crazy.
That's awesome.
We've had all these sub campaigns that have targeted different priority populations, from military and veterans and first responders, you know, firemen, policemen. We did a campaign just recently for firearm safety, you know, people who own guns, because sadly the statistic is so crazy, is so sobering. 80%, I'm going to butcher it, but it's something like 70-80% of suicides that men commit, middle-aged men commit, are with firearm. Yeah, so we continue to do really, I think, fun and provocative and innovative work in that area. But again, going back, that brief, initially when it came in, I think, unfortunately, many agency teams, not just the creatives, agency teams might get a brief like that and go, like, okay, we're probably gonna have to do a testimonial and talk about a guy who got help from a 1-800 suicide line. I mean, that was like the expected like type of work done in that category, right? Back when we got that brief. So anyway, I don't know if that answered your question about tough.
It does. Well, not only did it answer my question, but you, not to act like you're passing some quiz of mine, but you also validated stuff you were saying earlier.
Yeah. Some of my favorite stuff I see, just out in the world, not even at Cactus, but just is like really cool solutions for these kind of seemingly tough challenges or kind of weird don't get me wrong, I am a huge fan of like the Nike work, like that recent campaign that just came out, winning isn't for everybody. Like, oh my God, are you kidding? Look, that is so fucking good. That's my like ad of the year so far.
Yeah. I
mean, just incredible. But I would say, like, you know, Nike has a history of that, right? Like they are, for all intents and purposes, in a mode of needing to kind of maintain being the king, maintaining their position. Like they're now fighting. I mean, I'm sure the competition is stiffer than ever against the Under Armours and the Adidas and even like the startup brands out there that you can wear. Like it's like you see like Vuori starting to like move into these like, right, and Lululemon, which was like a yoga brand.
I don't mean to sound like a hipster, but I mean, yeah, competition is steep because I find myself pulled over by the startup brands because of their messaging.
Yeah.
And at least the ways that they're communicating their product. And it makes the Nikes look like just big, soulless corporations.
Yeah. So Nike has to come out with this, like, okay, how do we reestablish ourselves as the reason why Nike is this sort of powerhouse brand? And that's brilliant. But it's also really fun to work on the new things and the challenging things and the things that already don't have a history of. I enjoy being able to work on brands that already have a history of creative and clients that know and want and push us to be creative. I also enjoy working on things where it's transformational. But we actually just got a new client that we're starting up with, and it's a shoe company. For right now, it's just shoes.
Yeah.
They need help taking what's in their heart, and like the founder and the vision and the mission and all of that, like, is so exciting. Like when you talk to their team and you talk to their founder and you talk to them, it's like they say all these things that you're just like, oh my God, this is great. Like, but they haven't figured out how to take that and then make that leap of expressing that in a consistent and like human, sort of clever and like packaged way that like the world would like appreciate, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Norm, because of time, I have to rudely force a jump in time because, like I said, my filmmaking brethren, they'll get me if I don't ask you a few questions about filmmaking stuff. So I'm going to awkwardly force the conversation ahead with also the open invite for you to return because I want to throw out a couple of comments. I noticed your very gracious with your time. I've noticed a few things from your stuff that you offer advice. I also noticed your new podcast called Noobs, where you're giving out some of that advice, which seems like a nice structure.
Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, of course. I was listening to some of it this morning.
That's just an extension of my excitement, I guess, passion. It's just really natural for me to teach. And so I've been an adjunct teacher. Yeah.
I saw 2 episodes, and the cross of speaking to someone with a lot of experience versus someone who was seemingly fresh out of college was very generous.
I have a lot of heart for students and people, or people wanting to figure out how to get into the business, because it can have a lot of like intimidating barriers to it. So. Yeah.
Speaking of asking for help, not that it's nearly as important as some of the other stuff we talked about, how do you view production companies and directors? Because there are a lot of people who will have tried to dissect and digest the things that you've said, and they want to know how to get your attention. There are some agencies that I know, there's a cool one out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. They're like, hey, we're kind of not using production companies anymore. We're doing it ourselves versus, some of the comments you were saying, it's all, the spectrum is still wide open for who's using who and how they're collaborating together. So I'm just curious to know, how are you currently viewing production companies and directors?
I do think this sort of like getting back together is coming back, thank God. Mm-hmm. And so I do think that if you can do sort of market tours, and I think you have to have a little bit of a realization and kind of a thick hide, that if you go do a market tour, like let's say, Cody, you and your team, you and a coworker were to come to Denver and say, okay, we're going to go try to meet with the five agencies there over 2 days. Mm-hmm. I like that. But you just also have to realize, like, you may not, the old days of like getting the entire production and creative team together in the conference room and you bring in lunch, mm-hmm. that's probably gone. Like, just people have gotten so fragmented and busy, and just especially with like the work from like a couple days being worked.
Do you mean for just general introductions for production companies that would like to get, okay.
Yeah, general introductions, yeah. But I do think if you go through the effort of going to a city, where you're going to focus, and I think having some focus on like what agencies typically do the type of work you want to do and be involved in, and kind of narrowing your list down as opposed to shotgunning. I actually do love getting stuff in the mail. I would say just watch the sort of cheesy, it's just got to feel genuine. I like it if it's like Cody's reaching out to me, right? And you are trying to establish a relationship with me or with our head of production, Martha, or one of our producers. Mm-hmm. Like, I would say, like, laser in on trying to create a genuine relationship and not being salesy.
Yeah.
And that's tough to do. There's a fine balance there. I mean, we do that on the agency side. We're doing that with our prospects, where we're trying to do the same thing. And I think having just sort of a game plan mm-hmm. that's achievable, you can follow in terms of your own marketing and kind of sales approach, and make it achievable. Maybe when you get into that position where now you're bidding, my producer will, send me, or one of our producers will say like, oh, here's like 5 directors we're kind of looking at, or production companies. And it's like, there's like the one spot that they put, or sometimes, or maybe it's like 2 or 3. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe sometimes our producers are trying to do that to like help save us time of like, here's the relevant pieces, or the productions company saying, here's the relevant pieces to this script or storyboard that we got. But I also think like I would figure out how to like make sure I can get to see the other work, right, that you're doing. Even if it's like, if it's a production company, I want to see like the body of work. Maybe even it's across other directors. I want to get a sense of like who I'm going to be working with. What are their like values? What are they going to be like to work with? Like, I always go to the like about page of the director or the executive producer, and I wish there was like a video on there of them talking about their approach, their thinking, their philosophy.
Ooh, okay.
It always makes me wonder, like, I would love to see more just fun self-promotional video for people that make video.
I like that.
Like, what if you, now you got me brainstorming. I'm a creative dork after all. But like, what if you did what if you did like a quarterly, maybe it's based on a holiday, you always have like, what if you always had a Valentine's Day video, you always had a 4th of July video, and then you do like a Thanksgiving video. So maybe it's like 3 a year, and you establish kind of a ritual and a theme of making a funny and it could just be around one of your values. It doesn't have to be the end all be all.
Yeah.
It could be funny, or it could be serious. Yeah. It does something for the community, or what, like, again, it should ladder back up to your values, to your brand, to your company, to the culture. It shouldn't just be for the sake of it.
Right.
As creators, we should kind of put our actions where our words are, So like, if you're really good at like editing and animation and post-production, then show that to me in just how you live, breathe, and play, not just in how you sell me.
No, that's great. I love that you're diving into it, because that's so much what you're doing. I don't mean to be so elementary here, but let's say there's a young person out there who thinks, I'll send Norm a shoe with a note that says, just trying to get a shoe. And I've tried to think of something corny.
That's pretty good.
Maybe that time and energy is better spent on the annual Valentine's Day video or the annual holiday video. And especially if it's something that people can look forward to each year. I think you mentioned earlier when we started talking about, when I asked you how you pitch and bring these things, well, and I'm paraphrasing, you said it's years of experience, because I think you automatically mentioned familiarity. Heck, I use the stupid filter on Instagram and make this asinine video occasionally on Thursdays about how I'm going to get Chinese. It's like a guy with a unibrow, and I made it a character. And I had someone come up to me at the gym who I don't even remember her name. She said, "Hey, you haven't been doing your video on Thursdays." I was like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And then at the same time, marketing brain activated, and I thought, there it is. There's that familiarity.
Part of where my brain goes is just consistency, right? Like, if you send me the shoe, I don't think that's bad. Like, okay, we'll work on the wordplay of the line. We're
working on the shoe.
But if you sent me a shoe, fine. But what are you going to do 6 months later? What do you do a year later? What do you do a year and a half later? Right?
That's good.
I may not hire you today. You have to be thinking like, I want Norm, or Martha really, or one of the creative directors at Cactus to hire me.
Yeah.
It's probably going to happen a year from now, 2 years from now. Like, maybe you'll get lucky and get hired today, but like, fuck, we don't know you.
Yeah.
You're brand new. And so, maybe your body of work is amazing and you have all this experience, but we just have not heard of you before, right? So it's like, don't expect that your very first thing, even though you put so much time and love and care into like the crafting of this thing that you're going to send.
Yeah.
That's not a bad thing, but just like, you have to have a plan that can be consistent. Because it's about building a relationship. It's not just a one-off thing, firework that goes off and it's like, oh, I'm done. Okay, my prospecting is done. You have to have a hit the sled kind of flywheel mentality.
I wish I knew that years ago. When I was in Austin in 2019, I spent months getting these gifts together for a few agencies, just because I was trying, obviously younger, learning, trying to figure out how to make relationships. And I gave these gifts and I was like, I would love to have received this gift, but that was it. I didn't know how to follow up after that. So I think maybe 15 creative directors in Austin got this cool storyboarding and story clocking. And, I had this a whole package, like a box, but I wish I'd spoken to you then, because I didn't have the experience to follow up.
Again, the dots should connect. So it's like, if you do this really funny thing, but you don't do funny work, right? Like, if you send me a really funny thing, but you shoot lifestyle and nature. Yeah. It's like, wait a second. Why'd you send me this really hysterical promo?
Right.
But it doesn't feel like your product. Right. Again, so like all the dots should really connect.
That's good.
And then I think it's about being consistent. I mean, it's kind of, maybe I'm just such an ad guy, but it's like a campaign. And you have that cycle, that kind of keeps going, so that you're just in front of me, because I may not have a job for you today, but I might a year from now.
But that's why I'm selfishly stealing advice from you, because as I said earlier, a lot of the filmmaking types, we're not thinking, even though we're in close collaboration with you, we're not thinking the way that you think. We don't have that experience to activate. We're really just caught up trying to, not let you find out that we're copying some Oscar-winning film that we loved from last year. Because sometimes I see it. I'm sure you've seen it before too. You'll look out and you're like, "Wow, guys, sure looks like that movie that came out last year. I can tell what you were excited about," which is fine. I mean, I would confess we do the same. You see these posters? I'm guilty. I'm very guilty to make that even more specific. So let's say you're ready to go. You have that client, and now you've got the bid out for directors. I'd love to hear a few minutes of commentary on the things that they do well that stand out to you. Maybe one or two things that they do that kind of kill it.
You mean when you're in that kind of treatment bidding stage?
Yeah, when they're treatment and bidding, because I've always found that to be interesting, because you guys as the agency have brought so much creative to it already. And then it's like, okay, director, elevate this without ruining the stuff we've already gotten excited about. I think it's a fascinating thing.
I think as much intel as you can get, and I think different agencies are going to have, I think we're pretty transparent. I think different agencies are probably have different levels of this, but I think as much intel as you can get on the politics and the dynamics of that job. Like, can you get on on those preliminary phone calls, can the producer or director get on the call with the agency producer and like learn like, okay, are the creatives, is the client open to, how much push are they open to? Like, what does that really mean? Let's define that, before we put our treatment together. I mean, that probably goes all the way through to the like components of like the budget and the parameters of the type of shoot, right? Like, so it's like, oh my gosh, there's effects in this. Are you open to, if we bring in an outside partner? Yeah. The more intel you can get versus just making assumptions, I think goes, at least for Cactus, that goes so far. And it shows that you're really interested in the details, in understanding the sort of behind the scenes dynamics of like, it could even be down to preferences and politics on the client side, of like, what's it like to work with this client? What are their hangups? What are the things they prefer? What are their preferences? So I think the more intel, it's like sort of the more you can kind of sharpen the axe before you start chopping down the tree, and really understand the assignment from all angles, not just the creative and not just the budget or the makeups of that. Like, are you guys open to, if we bring this or that or XYZ to it, and kind of pressure testing that through a phone call versus pitching it and then getting the questions, Yeah. I think it comes down to just, again, being yourselves and showing genuine, sincere aptitude and approach to want to be a good partner, to listen, that you're going to listen, that you're really going to like adapt. So, I mean, but that's probably pretty standard stuff, I would imagine. So,
yeah. As we wind down here, is there anything that you're excited about right now?
Two things, I think, one that come to mind. One, I actually just posted this morning. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's something in the air of the work that I've been seeing for the last few months. It feels like a little bit of fun, even for work that's not necessarily like, maybe it's driving on a different emotion, but it just seems like innovative, interesting, thought-provoking, provocative, fun, vibrant work is kind of coming back. I'm starting to see it more and more. I don't know what to attribute that to, but I'm really excited about that. And so I actually posted this morning on my LinkedIn of like, is advertising getting fun again?
I'm going to go look at that.
Because I do think, and I think everybody hates talking about COVID and post-COVID. I think it was just, and then with the economy and the upcoming election and all this stuff, there was this sort of like ho-hum, drum sort of thing going on from like 2020 to 2023. It was
a little glum. Yeah, there were some low lows.
And people were trying to like put on a smile and be, and like power through it. But it really does feel like it just feels like the lid's off on the fun, and people are starting to get back to just just having fun with the work and with each other and with clients and with artist partners. And so it's I don't know. I'm on a little bit of a high.
Awesome.
These last couple of months about that, which is exciting. And then the state has prioritized fentanyl education and prevention and awareness, and it just ladders to our DNA and who we are. And we're so thrilled that we won that account. That was a really big competitive pitch to win that.
Oh, awesome.
So we are just kicking off the creative. We spent like the last 6 months working on strategy and research. And so we're going to get to work on this really priority work for literally making the world a better place and saving lives. Hopefully, doing our best to make a dent in the fentanyl problem that's happening in our communities. I'm so fortunate that we can use creativity to make a difference. So yeah, that's another thing I'm looking forward to.
Well, Norm, because of time, got to wind us out. But if you're open to it, it's an open invite to come back and keep teaching. And I'm going to push people towards the Noobs podcast. That's on Spotify only right now, but we'll go to the others.
Yeah,
Spotify for now, Andrew, YouTube.
We're waiting to get 10 listeners. Once we get to 10.
Well, 9 left because I'm a subscriber now.
You're so kind, and Cody, thanks for having me on, and congrats on your podcast and everything you're doing to just spread the word about good creators and creatives and makers. I'm a big fan, so it's an honor to be here.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, Norm, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate you sharing some of your wisdom and experience today.
Good luck on your projects.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cheers.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode with Norm Shearer of Cactus. This episode was edited by Dylan Giovanetto. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and follow us on Instagram. Feel free to stop by and say hello and let us know any guest recommendations that you may have. From Cry, a creative production and post house based in New York City, I'm Cody, and this is Filmmakers in Advertising. Who's gonna have the best Halloween commercial this year?